Okay, one of the many societal evils is the way minors or the underage boys and girls are treated. UNICEF in 2015 reported that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 10 boys of under 8 years experience sexual violence here in Nigeria. More painful is the fact that out of the estimated figure of 15.8 million, 11 million will deal with the secrecy, the trauma, and the long-term efforts alone without any form of intervention. This is unacceptable, I will say, and needs to be on the front burner, as in every day. Now, our guest is seated and ready with answers, but before we meet her, let me, even without John being by my side, quickly share my thoughts on some events that I pondered upon a little bit within the week. So many things happened in Nigeria and across the globe within the week. I think one of the most talked about, apart from the constant and the unabating kidnapping, child raping, and all of the anomalies happening here and there, was the sudden exit of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And that has drawn so many views. People are talking about it. Is it to our advantage as a people, the legal system, or is it not? That's one of the things that I pondered upon within the week. And constantly being talked about right now also is the agitation by parents and families of those who were kidnapped, when they were going from Kaduna to Abuja, the train kidnapping, and those who are still there. We are grateful that the Nigerian government has been able to get a lot of them out, especially the children and the pregnant women who had a baby recently. But so many are still held there. And the families of those who, especially, the news came out that snakes were beginning to bite so many of them, and accidental, gunshots and all that, who are still held there. The families are threatening that within the week they will be in the confines of government, both in Abuja and Kaduna, to plead and do whatever it takes, for government to help them get their loved ones out. We can only imagine what these ones are going through, the ones held by the bandits and the family members, who on a daily, basis are pondering what really is happening to them. And also we hear that Labour is threatening to hold a one-day nationwide protest, to just say enough is enough. Let's look into a couple of things. Let's look into why we constantly have fuel shortage. Let's look at why do we have a lot of insecurity in Nigeria. And let's look at the issue of the poor children who are constantly at home, on a very regular basis. And they've been there for close to 5 months now. I'm talking about the ASU strike. Very worrisome to me, and I thought I should bring it out today. Well, so far, so good. We have a very important topic, to talk about today. Something that I wonder, is it on the decrease or is it on the increase? Is it because of social media that we are faced with this matter on a daily basis? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Another evil that is fast sealing the destinies of the younger people and robbing families of the most cherished bliss and peace of mind is that issue of drug abuse and drug addiction. The world beamed its searchlight this week on drug addiction and its effects. And so Pharaoh, when it's her time, will be dealing with this subject with her guest. But now, let's meet my guest. She's a legal practitioner. She's an advocate and child forensic interview specialist. I'm getting to know about some of these things for the very first time today. She's Chief Operating Officer, Cece, Yara. You will tell me, am I right? Okay, foundation is a foundation and child advocacy center. She's coordinator, awaiting trial persons project, consultant with the State Accountability Voice Initiative, and so many things. She is equipped, she has worked over the years with younger children, legal aspects and women and all of that. And it's my pleasure this morning to welcome to Today with John and Helen, Bisi Ajayi-Kayode.
Good morning.
Morning. God bless you.
Thank you.
I had some very interesting conversation with you before we came officially on air. Interesting and disturbing, you know. We're looking at the evil of the society, the uncertainty, the insecurity of life, especially, you know, with the younger ones. Let's quickly just take off from there. Why is there so evil at this point in time?
It's the pressure of the time and age we are in. We are talking of sexual violence, we are talking of drug addiction. All these things happen there, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria. Child sexual abuse is a public health crisis and a human rights crisis.
Okay, so hold it there. Now, so child molestation is our topic on the show today. Is it the same as child sex abuse?
Child sexual abuse is a broad term, and there are many categories. We have defilement, we have sexual assault by penetration, we have sexual harassment, we have child sexual exploitation, when you engage a child into a sexual activity in exchange for financial gain or something. We have human trafficking, we have betrothal, we have female genital mutilation. I mean, there are many categories involved under child sexual abuse, but the World Health Organization has a broad definition. Child sexual abuse is the engagement of a minor in any form of sexual activity. It can be contactual, it can be non-contactual, it can be done online. Because the problem is most people don't know the facts, they don't even know what child sexual abuse is.
So it mustn't be physical?
Yeah, somebody can be in Abuja and be sexually abusing a child there in Lagos. Exposure to pornography, indecent touching, or asking to see a child's nakedness, exposing your nakedness to a child, you know, using the child for child prostitution. Okay. I mean.
So what's child molestation? Let's differentiate the two.
Child molestation is taking advantage of a child. You know, children by virtue of their growth, their vulnerability, to perpetuate a sexual activity. Okay. That's a molestation. I'm telling you, there are many categories involved on inappropriate touching, inappropriate looks. It can even be verbal when you use dysfunctional, vulgar sexual expressions to a child. Okay.
All right. So who is likely to molest or abuse a child, and how do we recognize them?
Well, global evidence has shown that 90% of pedophiles are people who have regular, legal, and easy access to the child. Legal and easy access to the child, okay, and have succeeded in obtaining the trust and respect of the child and that of the parents or caregivers. And of this 70 and 90%, 70% are what we call intrafamiliar, family members. It could be the father, it could be the mother, intrafamiliar. It could be the house girl, the driver, the neighbor. It could be the religious leader. It could be the community leader. And anybody who has a form of control or access to the child. And there's something most people don't understand about child sexual abuse. It has nothing to do with sexual gratification. That maybe you want to satisfy yourself. I mean, although it's part of it. Sexual violence has been globally acclaimed as a weapon of war. It's about dominion, it's about control, it's about destruction. Because what is sexual, what is attractive about the
So
pampers of a 10-month-old baby?
Aware. They are consciously aware of the things they do.
They do, yes. And then you ask the question, how do you recognize a pedophile? There are no benchmarks, there are no indices of identifying a pedophile. They look regular, normal, like you and I, and often they are very nice. And they are very smart and intelligent. They have a way of their modus operandi is grooming, slowly but surely. They identify a child, they look for the gap in that child's life. If a child is not being treated with respect and dignity, always insulted by the parents, hello my dear, how are you? Because some children never had I love you from anybody.
Because that's my third question, that's my next question. That word comes, you know, very often is used when you're talking about child molestation and child sexual abuse, grooming.
Yeah, let me tell you what grooming, grooming is. It's a systematic procedure of engagement in the child. We have the first stage, engagement of the child, getting to know the child. Then it comes with gifts, treating the child like the favorite. Maybe you have 3 children, a neighbor, a family member is zeroing on one, or always picking on a child to complain. Maybe it's this your child is this and that, and a parent will innocently say, okay, deal with him. You know, you've sold off your authority to the child. Then it comes with it will look like accidental touches. Maybe they slap the child on the bum bum, or touch the nipples, squeeze the nipples, and the teacher and the child is not showing resistance. Maybe the child is timid and did not report to the parents, or the child is even too young to know what's going on. They will give, they start touching, and they groom the child. And it's not every child sexual abuse that is painful. Some are so mean that they make it pleasurable for the child. Some go to the extent of buying lubricating gel. And some even use threat, force, and coercion. You know, I can kill your mother. You know, it's what I'm paying you that you're using to feed your sick parents at home. You know, intimidation. They overpower the child's will, mind, and emotions. And they will even threaten, it's your fault, I'm going to blame you. So the child will even be the one to be feeling guilty. And for younger children, they don't know the impact of what is being done to them. It's as they're growing up. I know a lady that now told me she's been married for 14 years now. She now said, oh, I now remembered when I was 6, 7. This was what my father's tenant did to me. And some are so even mean to the extent that they groom the children to be addicted to sex. They teach them masturbation, using objects to penetrate them, that even when they are not there, the child will perform it on herself or perform it on him or herself or other children. It's like that. That's the grooming strategy. Slowly but surely.
I remember in the news a few years ago, a mother went to court and she wanted divorce because over the years, 3 of her daughters had been sexually molested by the husband. You know, different age. The older one was like about 8, the younger one 6, the next one was 4, thereabout. And the 3 of them knew, and it became like, who was daddy's favorite? And she went to court to ask for divorce. But then the damage had been done. You know, so I'd like to ask, before we go into the nitty-gritty of the legal aspect of this, how observant can parents and words be? You know, for us to know. You say these things are not written on the faces. They are excellent, nice persons around us. How observant, how careful can we be?
First and foremost, before you can even be careful enough to protect your child, you need to be trained, you need to be empowered. Like we do at the Yara Foundation, we have training and prevention awareness program. We have training and prevention awareness program for adults, for professionals, parents, educators, and even community leaders, market women, and all that. Because when we are talking of sex education, about not violating children's private parts, a good number of adults, even grandparents, they don't even know what private parts are. As adults, our knowledge of private parts is limited to the breast, the vagina, the penis. Whereas the mouth also is a private part. In fact, the whole body is private. Whatever you do to any child that is not making the child comfortable is a violation. So that's why we tell parents, don't kiss your children on the mouth. Don't do that. Then you should know that sexual abuse can be contactual or non-contactual. We've seen cases where the mother is even a full-time housewife. She wants to protect her children. She's busy sitting watching the telly, and the children are chatting online with pedophiles. Okay. And then you need to know the signs, know the facts, know the signs. How rampant can this be? You read out the statistics: 1 in every 4 girls, 1 in every 10 boys. And of this, less than 5% have access to professional service intervention. That's why the Cece Yara Foundation was established, to provide a one-stop response: medical, legal, psychosocial, forensic, interview, prevention, awareness, shelter services, and a safe and warm training environment. Okay. And then empower the children. Okay. We go to schools. There's what is called the PANT rules and the Cece Yara curriculum. PANTS. Okay. P, private are private. A, always remember your body belongs to you. N, no means no. T, talk about secrets that upset you. S, speak up, somebody can help. Empower those children. The mistake most parents make is that you wait until these children are grown. Somebody is asking me, how early do you teach children about sex education and body boundaries? From the time they begin to talk. And you must know the different stages of child development. 0 to 2 years, let them know you are a girl, you still have breasts, you're a boy, you have penis and all that. And nobody should touch you anyhow.
At the point, at the time we're rounding up this show, we will need to bring back this fact. So we're sure that we leave it in the, in the minds of the viewers and the children, especially before we go. Now, what are the child molestation laws and the charges in Nigeria? Are these laws helping? Are they efficient? Are they working?
Yes, we have the Child Rights Act of Nigeria that has been adopted by almost 22 or 24 states, but not all states have domesticated them. We have the Child Rights Law of Lagos State. We have the VAP Act. We also have international instruments, which Nigeria has signed the Child Rights Convention. Under the Child Rights Law, under the Child Rights Act, defilement of a child, defilement, that's when there's actual penetration, sexual activity, is life imprisonment. We have sexual assault by penetration, 7 years. We have inappropriate touching, molestation, ranging 2 years, 3 years, and all that. But one dicey issue about prosecution of child sexual abuse cases, it's unique from other crimes. Okay. Number one, child sexual abuse is often committed in secrecy, with which the child and the perpetrators are the only witnesses. And when we get to court, most of the time the pleas we have is not guilty. It's very, very rare to see a pedophile unless maybe the evidence is overwhelming to come out. And then it doesn't get reported until years later, because they've inculcated threat you will die. Or even some make, after sleeping with the child, they'll bring out the Bible or the Quran, leak these books, and swear by God Almighty, you will not tell anybody what I did to you, otherwise you'll die. Parents are doing it. Religious leaders are doing it. Okay. You understand? And so, but they are very, very effective in Lagos State, even with the sex offenders register. At this junction, because the Cece Yara Foundation, we are in partnership with the Lagos State government, the Family Support Unit of the Nigerian Police Lagos State Command, Domestic Sexual and Violence Agency, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Youth and Social Development. Okay. We're in partnership with the FAMA. Lagos State is on the forefront. The laws are very effective. The reasons why we're having this lacunae, this gap, is because of the cultural and religious complexes attached to investigating and prosecuting child sexual abuse cases. We people are not knowledgeable enough. That's why we go at Cece Yara Foundation to empower people. What the law says is that in any transaction dealing with cases involving children, the best interest of the child should be upheld. But what we are having is that we have a clientele of selfish parents, selfish community leaders, selfish religious leaders who are interested in preserving the reputation of their organization and family against the interest of the child. You see the community level, the child is bleeding, And the man has even pleaded. When he gets to court, he now say not guilty. And the mother will look at the child in court. Is it because of you the child will not go to prison? And we have some so-called good Samaritans who will say, if you lock him up, he's the family leader, the family head, the financial pillar, he will go to prison. No. Case report from at the Cece Foundation under a legal advocacy program. We support our clients, the child and the non-offending families, from the point of reporting to the point of sentencing. Wow. If you have phobia about the police station, please come to us. We have family supporting. We will stand by you, take your statement, hold watching briefs. Okay. Stand by you at pre-trial conferences, because most people don't know the impact of child sexual abuse. You are just looking at it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the impact, both on the child and on the family and on the society as a whole. You touched on something that you really got me thinking when I was working towards working on this subject, and that's the issue of secrecy. Now, during your introduction, we said that you are a child advocate and child forensic interview specialist. Throw more light on the aspect of secrecy, and how do you deal with these children, who are victims?
Okay, yes, like I said before, child sexual abuse thrives in secrecy. Oftentimes, the children don't even get the confidence to report until they're out of that offending environment. It happens when nobody thinks about it. The lesson teacher is alone in the sitting room with the child. The mother and the parents are upstairs watching telly. Is perpetrating child sexual abuse, and the child has been threatened, don't tell anybody, and they don't do it openly. Maybe service is going on in church or worship is going on in the mosque. The driver can grab the child into the car, or maybe on the way from school he's putting his hands inside her and all that. So, and that's why you need to know the signs. A child has been happy going to school, going to church, going to the mosque, says, "Mommy, I don't want to go today." Instead of saying why, you shout on them.
Oh, I don't want this lesson teacher anymore.
Extreme reaction to places, things, people, and events should let you know something is wrong. A child that used to be pleasant first starts manifesting sporadic bouts of hunger, defiant oppositional behavior, insomnia, dysfunctional lifestyles. You see some youth when they are driving recklessly, suicidal additions, drops in academic performance. Those are the signs. The long-term impact. Oftentimes we are more concerned because she has contacted HIV, she's pregnant, blah, 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 blah. So what we do on the Cece Foundation, we ablaze the trail. Because when you get to court, apart from medical evidence, a lot depends on the child's testimony. Most investigations are fact-finding by maybe untrained personnel. You bring a child before the perpetrator, the father. Okay, tell us, what did you do? Of course, she'll not be able to talk. Yeah. She's intimidated, she's vulnerable, and maybe she's even financially, her whole life depends on this perpetrator. The only form of stability she knows. So what we do is through forensic interview process. It's the best practices all over the world, which we have led advocacy for its implementation. We've had a consultative workshop under funding with the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, and we have gleaned the support of the police and the Lagos State Ministry of Justice. Okay. Forensic interview is a structural process of eliciting evidential information.
This is absolutely important.
Yeah.
Talking to us about the process, the forensic or the scientific way of investigating and interviewing this victim.
Children, yeah.
So hold on there.
Okay.
We'll take a break just about now, because child molestation incidences, we believe it or not, has doubled, if not tripled over the year. Many reasons are given for this evil, and our guest, Bisi Ajayi-Kayode, has joined us today to share a lot of light. We shall take a quick break right about now and return with more. Please don't go away. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, child sexual abuse or molestation is an offense under the several sections of Chapter 21 of Nigerian's Criminal Code. And this means that it is a criminal offense. So what are the legal consequences of this crime? And this is where we're going to this second segment of the interview. But I ask you to pause, on that very delicate aspect, the forensic procedure and process of interviewing a child to be able to get the facts from her. Quickly, let's have it.
Well, child forensic interview is a best practice all over the world of eliciting evidential information from a child about a crime or an event the child has experienced or witnessed in an age-appropriate and developmentally sensitive manner. Because of the dicey nature of child sexual abuse, it's a criminal offense with which the burden of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. And oftentimes, children, maybe due to their cognitive ability, or maybe they've been suppressed to recount or whatever, or due to the atmosphere, they are not able to give optimal disclosure of the abuse. That's why it's conducted in a neutral, child-friendly environment. Environment at the police station, in offices, in hospitals, even in religious buildings, are not compatible with the cognitive ability of a child, of a survivor of child sexual abuse. In the religious setting, the religious phobia who have committed sin, whereas she's innocent, and because of the reaction of some people, they're afraid maybe of the police, or maybe especially if the perpetrator is well connected. That's why you don't interview a child in a non-childly environment. You interview a child in the Child Advocacy Center. And the international prerequisite is that you interview a child in a residential area. If you come to our office at 2A, at Gumadi Davis Close, Bagada Phase 2, it's like home away from home, in a warm, friendly, and child-sensitive environment. And what we've been having before, that's why most cases have not come to light, is there have been duplicative and fragmented interview of children. If I tell you a sentence and you tell it to somebody, a person, you know, by the end of the day, it won't be the same thing. So the child gets to the hospital, maybe depending, he will say something, he gets to the police station, he can say something, and when it's a family setting or religious setting, because the perpetrators
So the interview session is recorded?
Yes, it's recorded and conducted by a certified child forensic interviewer and observed by a multidisciplinary team of child-focused professionals. Number one, to elicit the truth, to facilitate investigation, and then to be able to profile other interventions necessary for the child. For example, and it's only one single interviewer, but we're wearing a mic like we're wearing, because if the child sees too many people, it will get discouraged. So that the other multidisciplinary child-focused professionals will be able to ask other cogent questions. For example, if the child was seen bleeding and she said, "This happened to me," and you said there was blood. Yes, he did this to me and there was blood. Then the medical representative of the observation team said, "Okay, did you see the blood or the blood flow?" Because the counsel on the other side may say, "My client did not do anything. She was in a menstrual period." So how do you distinguish blood from periodical passages from blood from defilement? It takes a forensic hematologist, it takes a medical person. And then crime scene investigation, that's the prerogative of the police. The police, every profession has its own role to play, where there is interagency collaboration without breaking ranks. And we produce one and single same report instead of the confusion we are having in some jurisdictions. That's why Lagos State government, we are taking the lead. And it's digitally recorded. So instead of calling the child, come, no. And then if the perpetrator absconds, and maybe it's caught years later, you go back and you read it. And it also fulfills the right of fair hearing, because the counsel on the other side has access to that video. So it saves the time of the court, it saves the resources spent in investigating and prosecuting child sexual abuse cases. We've gleaned the support of the police and Lagos State Ministry of Justice, and it has even helped to disclose some information other investigations could have revealed.
Okay. All right then. I'm sure there's so many signs, for one to know that the child has been molested or has been abused.
Yes.
Give us a few of them.
Okay, we have the short impact sign and the long-term signs. Of course, when you see a child bleeding, bruises, sexually transmitted infection, unwanted pregnancy, you know a sexual violation has taken place. But the ones that are very difficult to know, for example, defiant oppositional behavior. You see some children, they're extremely rude, in conflict with themselves and with society. You see somebody as old as Nelson Mandela coming, somebody saying, "Grandpa, Daddy, welcome." The child will just look at the man in the face and say, "Nelson, how are you?" Because the adults that are supposed to protect them are the ones violating them. And then you see dysfunctional lifestyles, dysfunctional mentality, drug use. When I'm talking of drugs now, I'm just talking of cocaine, the crack, and marijuana. You see a young teenager after being violated, we enter into a pharmaceutical shop, and maybe buy 3-4 bottles of cough syrup loaded with codeine so that she can get herself to it. Compulsive eating disorder. You just see some children, they are just eating recklessly, not because they are hungry, but they are taking refuge in food. You see stunted growth. This girl, she's supposed to be tall and slim. You see a 14-year-old girl with full-grown breasts, hormonal imbalance. You see drops in academic performance. You see anger. You see dysfunctional lifestyles. Because I was shocked one day when I went to one of the tertiary institutions and I was waiting for somebody. This girl came and was complaining. My uncle's friend wants to date me, and the people were saying, don't allow for him. He said, she's just 21. I said, Omodeni, he's a small boy. I asked, I said, how old is this guy? He said, he's 42. I said, how old are you? 21. Why are you calling a 42-year-old a small boy? He said, I prefer those old men 60 years and above. They're the ones that know how to take care of children. And when I now investigated for that, this is the daughter of a reverend gentleman, well known in the Southwest, but she's been violated ever she was young by men in that age category, 60 years. That's why you see some children behave like babies. A teenager say holding teddy bear to sleep because she was violated when she was 7 and her brain cells did not go beyond that. And even there's medical evidence. If you take the CT scan brain of a child that was regularly violated and the well-protected one, the doctors will tell you the brain cells of this child did not grow. You see withdrawal syndrome. You see drug use. Then when you see the flagrant use of vulgar languages, indecent dressing, some of us think it is fashion. Low self-esteem. They are just trying to draw attention to themselves. They don't know any better. They throw themselves at men at the opposite side. No self-value for themselves again. Know that it's not the time to criticize them. It's not the time to shame and blame them. It's the time to help them with professional service intervention. And this brings to the part that most people don't know how to react responsibly to disclosures. If a child comes to tell you, this has been happening to me, don't blame that child. Oh, why didn't you talk? No. First of all, thank that child. I'm happy. I congratulate you for telling me. And please don't tell that child I will not tell anybody, because oftentimes we lie. I know how you feel, but no. Tell the child I have to get you to the doctor so that you'll not contact HIV/AIDS and put you on emergency contraception. We have to report to the police to hold this perpetrator accountable, take him off the streets, so that you'll not be like that. Then psychosocial. When we refer people for psychosocial services, they think you are causing them. There's no madness in my family. No. Constant exposure to abuse, to trauma, causes brain damage.
Okay.
There's evidence for that.
All right. Wow. You are really, really ready to go. I mean, I can see the passion in you because it's something that you have experienced for a very, very long time. When we're rounding up, I'd like for you to really put your fingers on some of the very cogent, some of the very sensitive and critically vital areas that we may have, left out in this conversation. But at this point, there's so many issues facing families, poverty, insecurity. The parents also have self-esteem issues and so many. And so getting aware, becoming aware of this happening to the younger ones in our midst is a problem, either within the family or the society generally. How can we change this narrative? How?
Okay, we can change it first and foremost. Number one, know the impact that child sexual abuse has, not just on the child, on the family, on the society, and on the nation. It can escalate to the extent that we cannot fulfill our sustainable development goals. The children are the leaders of tomorrow. If the future generation are aborted, when I'm talking of abortion, not that the child is dead physically, we have a lot of living dead children. You see them with hardened hearts, frozen faces because of the abuse. There's what is called the ecological model. Look at how much the Lagos state government is investing in resources to curb abuse. And some parents are so overwhelmed with their problems, they don't need to look at this side, so these children don't have a sense of belonging. For example, it has social, economic, and political implications. If a girl that has been sexually abused when she was young comes and she grows up and now wants to contest to be the next president of Nigeria, the very first female president, and she has all the attributes and what it takes to take this nation forward, you can imagine what will happen. The opposing party will go and fish it out. That's it. Then stigma and ostracization, because oftentimes so-called sympathizers, they mess up cases. When the guy, don't go and report. It will spoil the family name. Nobody will marry you. These are the same people that when this girl wants to get married, they will go and tell the opposite side, don't marry her. Happened. And then everybody has a role to play. It's not the responsibility of children to protect themselves. It is adults. That's why we don't take it lightly when children are blamed and intimidated, because you suppress it and they'll go and start abusing other children. That's why it's spreading. If they've received, it's like the COVID virus. We need to confront it headlong. And then the criminality involved when you violate a child. You've not just violated that child and the parent. You have offended Lagos State government. The child and the parents are just nominal complainants. So when people come and start begging, withdraw the case, no. Because you are tampering with the government. You are making a mess of whatever investment the family, the government and the school has invested in that child. Child sexual abuse is like when you are wearing a white lace to a party, you are dancing, you're expecting people to spray you, and people are looking away. Because when you were eating, some of the food had messed up your clothes. A drop of oil on that white garment, whatever effort you are making into giving investment, investing in your child, child sexual abuse can destroy it. A child that is sexually abused and does not receive professional service intervention like we do at Yara, medical, legal, it's like a time bomb. Okay. What do you do to a bomb? You either detonate it or explode it. Because we help them to become children again. That's why you see them, they develop criminal tendencies. That is why there is corruption. You violate a child, there's no remedy, there's no justice. So the ripple effects, yes, they are immense. There are so many, so many. And yes. I wish we had more time. Time is really always our challenge. Well, we are available on our 24-hour toll-free line. If you have your concerns, 0800 800 801. Our child helpline is available 24/7, and we have Hausa, Igbo speaking and Yoruba speaking. We provide professional counseling, information, care, referral pathways, and emergency interventions. Please let us ensure child protection from this evil of sexual abuse. Will that be your final words this morning? Perhaps somebody just joined in the last 2 minutes. Yes, we have been talking about child molestation. It's preventable. So if you want us to come and give you training, we go to schools under a Safe Kids Awareness Prevention Program where we empower children on body boundaries. Without knowledge, people will perish. So how do we reach you? Are you online? 0800 800 801. You can follow us on social media. On Facebook, the Cece Yara Foundation. Instagram, Cece_Yara. Okay. Same for Twitter. Okay. Please don't suffer in silence. Don't allow children to bear the brunt alone. Okay. Okay. And also, when a child is violated, the child is not the only one that is traumatized. The non-offending parents too. Okay. Because that's why you see people react in a criminal matter because of the trauma. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. With the advent of the social media, we see a lot of this, we hear a lot of this, and that's why we're getting more and more concerned about it. Some of them are so bizarre, the accounts that we see of child molestation and child sexual abuse. Some so difficult to believe. It's an evil in this society which we must fight like a time bomb, like you said. It leaves the victims with emotional scars and trauma for life and must be resisted. Thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you. And we all have a hand and have a role to play in this, according to my guest. All right, it's still Today with John and Helen on Plus TV Africa. Moving on right now, time to welcome Dolly, the Keep Fit coach, who I see is already warming up in the gym. When we're out of the gym, Pharaoh Shonuga will be joined by her guests to unpack drug abuse. She talked about it. They're linked somehow with the topic of today. So Dolly, if you're ready, we are. After the gym we go. See you again.